We're joined by the guest editors for the next issue of the Drum magazine, James May and Richard Hammond, founders of DriveTribe, a global community for auto fans.
Absolutely right, and all things motoring.
Today we're going to be talking about the future of the auto industry and why the car is evolving to change everything from the way we shop to stay entertained to how our cities run. So thank you very much for coming on board as guest editors.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Makes us feel important.
Yes.
I want to start by talking about why you think this is an important issue for the Drum to dedicate to.
Because I think when it comes to cultural impact, the car has been pretty massively significant, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's also probably definitely the greatest period of change the car has had since it was invented, because it's always been characterised by rather pedestrian development, the car. It's a fairly conservative business, actually, car building, car buying, car using, and all of a sudden there are alternative means of propulsion, alternative ways of using it, alternative ways of making them. Everything is suddenly changing.
It's undergoing the most significant change it's undergone since its invention. This time round, we realise its significance. We didn't when it first started. It was just a novelty. That'll never catch on, or it'll remain a novelty for rich people. Then it changed the world, and now when we're reinventing it, I think this time we can take a more grown-up look at it. And we're finding on DriveTribe that informs a lot of what people are talking about. If we mention some issue to do with, hey, there's a new type of indicator lens on a hatchback, whatever. But the moment you start talking about autonomous, about car sharing, about different types of ownership, people pile in and have views and discuss it excitedly.
Well, that I guess leads us on to the topic of driverless cars.
Don't believe in it.
Do you not?
No.
Why not?
We're not there yet. And
No, miles off. The trouble is,
Yes.
we've started using the word autonomy, and people have taken that to mean you can sit in the back of the car and have a snooze and it will go to the shops. But the truth is, most of the systems we have at the moment can only follow a motorway if the lines are clear. If the lines disappear, it can't read and process information like a human can. This is a brilliant computer.
But driverless cars, as Black Mirror has painted them out,
I don't believe it.
I think we'll see that in our lifetime.
I think the other problem is, because nobody likes to admit that something is a bad idea or impossible, a bit like banks making subprime loans rather, is somebody in the motor industry needs to have the balls to stand up and say, listen everybody, what we're all talking about, it's not actually possible.
It's not going to happen,
At least not for a very long time. So look, we'll give you some, as you say, we'll give you some lane following things, some crash protection from an early warning thing that will put the brakes on for you, and we'll help it follow the lanes. But you're going to have to keep your hands on the wheel, and it's not going to do it by itself for a long time. So, and then everybody else would say, oh, thank God Jaguar have said that. Now we can all admit, yeah, you're right. It's not possible, because I just don't believe it is.
If nothing else, it's given us a great thing to talk about and consider. If you want to have fun, bowl the question into DriveTribe and see what you get back and who you talk to. People care about it.
You get a very
subject.
heated debate.
Yeah.
Having said all that, did you know that when Samuel Langley crashed his prototype aeroplane into the Potomac River, the New York Times said, well, heavier-than-air flight may be possible one day, but it will take millions, if not tens of millions of years to achieve. And it happened 8 days later.
Yeah. So
we
we
could
could
be
be wrong.
Be very careful.
What are some of the biggest changes that you see as set to disrupt the industry?
Going forward from now?
Yeah.
Well, it would be the whole concept of car ownership for a lot of people.
That's a huge one, yeah.
A lot of people don't feel the need to own one or to car share. I think we did a poll on DriveTribe when we asked people would they be prepared to enter a car sharing scheme. It's like 30% or something said yeah. So things are changing. So the ownership will change, as well as technically how they are and what they do.
Yeah, amongst the young, by young I mean people under 30, which is very young for us.
Anybody under 50 is young for you these days.
They have a very different view of this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the car industry, and everything to do with the cars and the way they're made and sold and so on, tends to be staffed by fairly old and entrenched people. And I think they might be having some difficulty either getting their heads around it, or they may simply not want to confront it.
It's going to make a huge challenge for your industry, yes. And I think there will be a need to stay locked onto what it is that the car buyers or owners or users of the next generation are going to be wanting and expecting and demanding, if you're going to stay in any way meaningful and able to connect with them. Yeah.
From an advertising perspective, how do you see the sort of marketing around cars? How do you think that'll change?
I think the most fundamental change will be actually not around things like autonomous cars or even the way they're used in cities. I think because the idea of car ownership is changing, is the car going to resonate with the same, this is all about demonstrating my potency, wealth, power. I don't think a younger generation is thinking that way, are they? They're not,
No.
They won't signal the same things. We'd spend disproportionately huge amounts of money, or a lot of people would, on a car that probably had no real interest in cars and driving and how they worked, but actually just wanted to demonstrate their wealth, potency, social standing, or even the fact that they don't like cars, so they'd buy a willfully crap one. I think that's going to change. They're not coded messages anymore. I think actually will be far more utilitarian. It's going to be a bit more akin to selling washing machines. I think there will always be part of us that does get excited by the ability to move yourself bodily from one place to another at a time of your choosing, at a speed and in a style of your choosing. I think personal transport in that sense will always appeal. I don't think we'll ever completely, as in all of us, lose our passion for cars. There'll always be some of us that have an interest in cars beyond a utility device, beyond them being a white good. But when did you genuinely last get in your car and just go out for a drive? James and I probably did at some point because we're nerds and geeks, but normal people, when did you last just go out for a drive in your car for the sake of it?
Just for the hell of it.
Exactly, they're all necessary journeys. You're going somewhere to do something, you're interacting with the world, and therefore in marketing terms, you're doing stuff. You need stuff, you can be influenced, you require things around you. So it'll have a huge effect. I can't think of much that would have a bigger effect on your world than cars.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you again.
We probably haven't name checked DriveTribe enough. Should we just say DriveTribe, 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 DriveTrive, DriveTrive, DriveTrive. There you go. Done it.
That covered it off.
Like, subscribe, comment.